everyone. I am Matt Williamson at Williamson NFL. We are in the summer time here in Pittsburgh. It is beautiful today. I don't want to be in here recording a podcast, but hey, I love it chatting with you guys. And that's exactly what today is. It is Mailbag Day. I will admit, the mailbag stuff from you guys is off the charts. I host that podcast, Peacock and Williamson podcast on the Locked On Network, which we get a lot of good questions, but you guys flood me to the point where I might have to do 2 shows a week during this slow time with mailbag. Thinking about that, you guys ask good questions, and you're obviously very dialed in on your team, which is great. So just wanted to commend you on that. Starting with Agent Cam, speaking of which, gave me 2 good questions. I'm going to answer them both one at a time. A lot is being made of Mason McCormick taking snaps at right guard. But if you were Omar, do you not try to extend James Daniels and let Isaac play out contract and slide McCormick to the left guard long term? Interesting. I think it's too early to answer this question, but I do think talking extension with Daniels, who came into the league unusually young and has been a success and is from Youngstown and chose the Steelers when he was a free agent, it seems like a good marriage. And oh, by the way, he's a good player. I think that would be smart right now, to be very honest with you. Let's maybe talk extension before it gets too far away. And I think you can look at the McCormick pick and say, well, that's an obvious successor. And maybe it is, but I think it's more, the way I interpreted the McCormick pick was, you guys have listened to me pre-draft, I hope, or maybe we definitely have new guys, so welcome. But McCormick was my 4th favorite center in this draft. Center. And I know that he was a guard exclusively in college. But he has a center background, and he would have been the backup center had I guess they have some stud at South Dakota State, that if he got hurt, McCormick would have probably bounced inside. Whatever. I don't know the exact details of that. But he's very center capable. And I thought, I've said this over and over, that if the top 3, including Frazier, were gone, McCormick would have been the guy I would have went to in the 3rd round. And you could go back pre-draft and you'll find plenty of podcasts that say that. And I didn't come up with that because someone in their office told me that. But when they took him, I thought, wow, they must have agreed with me, because I don't think if you asked Omar before the draft, are you going to take 3 offensive linemen in this draft, especially that high? He probably would have said no. Probably will take 2 though, which is a lot. But I think they like this player that much. So by all accounts, he's very experienced. I think he's quite smart from what I understand. I would cross-train him at all 3 of those positions as a rookie. If Frazier gets hurt, heaven forbid, if he gets hurt at minicamp, side note, I'm going to get back to this in a second. I will not be at minicamp. I didn't know this when I told you the other day, but they are putting a roof on the facility and there's nowhere for us to set up for radio. So I will not be at minicamp this go round at least. Bummer. I could go down if I wanted, but I'm not going to probably. Maybe I'll go down and get a free lunch and watch some of these guys one of these days, but I will not be broadcasting from there. Anyway, I would start right now cross-training him at all 3 spots as a much better version potentially of BJ Finney, as I often say. Having that swing interior guy, everyone talks about a swing tackle, but a swing interior guy is really important. And as I was about to say, if Frazier were to get hurt today, McCormick would be thrown right in there, in my opinion, or at least in the mix of, you're a center now only. That's why we drafted you. It's one of the reasons we looked at you to begin with, not knowing we were going to end up with Frazier. Sam Allou's a really good player, and having 1 extra offensive lineman would be wonderful, but I would look to extend Daniels. I would not need to do that right now with Isaac, but I would train McCormick at all 3 of those spots, and one of the 3 is going to get hurt, and he's going to get thrown in there, probably, and I would look to maybe trade Herbig. I don't think Herbig fits his system as well. He's not as athletic. He's not as mobile. So if you go in there with your top 4, with those 4, with a Daniels on extension, say Alou with 2 years left on this deal, Frazier with 4 years on his deal, you're great. And you're not going to stay as healthy as usual. And it's just a wonderful problem to have, which again brings me to, I know your brother's on the team, Nate, but we might be able to turn you into something because you're a quality player. And if I could get a fifth, probably more like a sixth round pick for him. Tremendous. And that's something this team has done, is all these little moves they make. Throw in a seventh next year, throw in a sixth next year. That's right up my alley. And, if you could turn Herbig into one of them, and then you package a sixth and a fourth for a third and all that stuff, just give me more cards in my hand. So I don't think we know the answer to this question, Agent Cam, but I like the puzzle pieces, however they fall. But I would trade McCormick at all three spots. Agent Cam also asks, where do I start, Matt? Last year's rookie class played a significant snaps and impact on the outcome of various games. I think he's asking me here we go. I'm sorry. We got sidetracked. What can we expect in the 2024 season from this year's rookie class? I think you're going to get 2 rookie starters on the O-line. I think that's pretty clear at this point. As it stands today, mid to late May, I think Wilson's going to be the number 2 receiver. I think he'll quickly go ahead of Austin and Jefferson and all those dudes. And at a minimum, you find, or a better scenario is you find somebody between now and then to be the number 2, and Wilson's your 3, which is also a starter in my opinion. Again, I think Peyton Wilson, especially if Holcomb is banged up, could quickly become a starter. I mean, as your number 2 inside linebacker. That's not a knock on Landon Roberts at all, but you don't draft someone with durability concerns to sit a year. And Holcomb's another one. If he is fine, might you flip him for a pick? And all of a sudden you have those 3, all very different, all different stages of their career, and pick up a mid-round pick next year, because Holcomb's a good player. So you either have a healthy Holcomb that you have 4, which really makes a position of weakness into a strength. Great. Or you have 3 and a draft pick. Or you have 3 and an injured Holcomb, and then to be determined later. None of which I think is a bad situation, considering what you dealt with last year, or really since Shazier got hurt. So I like that situation quite a bit. And I think the rookies will play more snaps this year than last year. Definitely. Because I do think the linemen will start earlier than Broderick did. And I think Wilson will play a lot, no matter what. So you didn't ask this, but you compared it to last year. I bet Steelers rookie snaps will be higher in 2024 than 2023 collectively. Yeah, feel pretty good about that. BetOnline is your number 1 source for your summer sports this season, from playoffs in NBA and NHL, Major League Baseball, golf, all the latest stats, news, and scores available to follow your favorite teams. Get the latest odds and lines, including the latest teams' matchups, players, props, and odds on just about every sport out there. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. It's super easy. BetOnline, where the game starts. Timothy C. Hemis. I know there's been a ton of anxiety over the wide receiver room. What if Freiermuth plays big slot and Washington plays more inline? Wouldn't that alleviate the pressure to trade for a number 2 receiver? I feel something is bound to happen with the cap space. I think something's bound to happen with the cap space. I mean, you could extend some of your own, but really that usually frees up cap space. And I think tomorrow we're going to talk contracts. Sometime this week. That's been on my to-do list for a week or so now, but things keep popping up to kind of trump it. Yes and no on this. I think you're going to see Freiermuth as a big slot and Washington as the inline tight end. Hayward and Michael Pruitt will be your move guys, fullback, H-back, hopefully get mismatched throughout the game. I think that's very much in the plans, as it was last year, but much more so. I mean, the percentage of multiple tight ends on the field will increase dramatically. However, I love Freiermuth. I think he's another extension candidate, but I don't think you can live that way. In terms of creating mismatches against defensive backs. Is Freiermuth going to consistently beat corner coverage? Probably not. Is he consistently going to beat elite? Now, I'm not talking about average. Elite Fred Warner Roquan coverage? Probably not. Is he going to beat really high-end Minka Hamilton type safety guys? I mean, here and there on all of them, but consistently beat is my question. Probably not. I really want Freiermuth to be the third receiving option. And I understand the backs are good. I can't say Pickens is great. I think he's good. Great is a big word. So I am still very uncomfortable with the receiver position. I think there needs to be one more dude. And look at it this way. I mean, heaven forbids you lose Pickens for a series or a snap or not a snap, or a game or the season. You're just too easy to play against. You have to have dynamic weapons. And I think it's the biggest hole on the team right now. And I can't quite live with what they have there, to be very honest with you. I mean, yes, they have the cap space. So those kind of things that's what I could see a trade with goes something like, we're going to trade you cap space for player. And that means like a seventh, I mean, kind of like the Allen Robinson thing last year. We're basically going to give you nothing for the player, but hopefully it's a better version of that. But that could happen as the season goes on. But it's concerning. I can't quite live with what they have now, to be honest with you.Ghorn33, he asks a similar question we talked about, but I like the way the Steelers' inside linebacker room looks, especially if Holcomb can contribute. And if any benefit when in dime to 2 ILBs over 3 defensive linemen. Well, dime, you're going to have a 4-man front. You're going to have 2 D tackles, probably Benton and Hayward, maybe mixing a little Ogunjobi. And I'm counting Highsmith and Watt as your D-line. 4-man front. Dime is usually going to have, well, then it's going to have 1 inside linebacker, probably Queen, but that gets you to a 5-man box. And then 6 defensive backs. 5 is nickel, 6 is dime. So 6 defensive backs is the dime package. So I'm not sure exactly what you're asking on that. However, we've talked about this a fair amount and should talk about it even more. They've been the lowest or at the absolute bottom in terms of nickel with 5 defensive backs on the field. And I think that should skyrocket. That your best 11 might be that 4-man front I mentioned with 2 linebackers, 5 defensive backs. Because you start looking at this roster, who's the 6th best defensive back on this roster? Is it KZ? Is it Rush? Is it probably is a defensive back to be named later? But I would love, and I think these linebackers, with or without Holcomb, going back to the conversation we had earlier, which could just be Wilson and Queen with a 4-man front in front of them, gives you a lot of speed on their second level, that their percentage of nickel should go up massively. Because the problem with dime is it's hard to stop the run. I mean, that if you're playing dime against, even the Bengals, who trot out 3 receivers, usually a blocking tight end and Sample, and a mix-in like back. In this case, it'll be Brown or Moss. And you decide to play dime against that, well, they still have a big physical offensive line and a blocking tight end and a power back that you got 6 defensive backs trying to get Zach Moss on the ground with tackles that are as big as a house, But if you play base against that, you're going to get lit up. And if you don't feel comfortable with your nickel against that, you're one or the other. So I think you play a lot more nickel is the answer, which is wonderful. It's one of the best benefits of this offseason that no one's talking about is please be capable of spiking your percentage of nickel defense. Ben Cohen asked a really good question. If the chief concern with Roman Wilson is the ability to beat press man, is that something that can improve throughout the year? Last year, JPJ was slowly mixed into the defense, mainly because he needed work on tackling. Could you see a similar projection for Wilson? Okay, so I want to address something I've been not ignoring, but just haven't brought up. There are some metrics out there that Roman Wilson's numbers versus man are really good. The eyeball test doesn't back that up at all. And my favorite wide receiver analyst, receptionperception.com, Matt Harmon, totally agrees. And I urge you to check this site out. It's a pay site. But that being said, his profile of Wilson, I couldn't agree with more. And I'll be honest, I love advanced metrics and next-gen stuff and nerd stuff, as you know. But I don't think I could do it well. If I watched 1,000 snaps of NFL coverages and you told me if I put every one of those snaps into this is a man coverage snap, this is a zone coverage snap, I think I'd get 75% right. And frankly, man coverage, if you play man coverage 30, 35%, that's a high percentage. It's a heavy, heavy zone league. So this is a big deal because it's the hardest thing for receivers. But most snaps, he's going to get some form of zone. And frankly, most snaps are a hybrid of the two. This is a zone that whenever he comes into my territory, it turns into man, or I pass him off and then he turns into man. So I'll be honest. I mean, I have not seen a non-NFL coach that I trust to break down coverages 100%. So I know some of these come from NFL and next-gen stats, and I half believe them. But the tape with Wilson shows perfect example. At camp, if I were Tomlin, and he did this at the Senior Bowl with Quinion Mitchell, I would ask these two. I bet one of the first reps in camp, and something you'll see over and over and over, is, hey, JPJ, you go right up at the line of scrimmage without any motion to help Wilson, and you jam him in man coverage, and we'll tell everyone on the hillside in Latrobe, these two are going one-on-one in pure man coverage like Lester Haynes or Mel Blount. You know what I mean? Like right at the line of scrimmage, banging old school. And remember, that's what they asked Artie Burns to do against AB. Well, AB was much better than Burns. And that's not for JPJ's benefit. It's Wilson's. We need to work on your releases, your hand fightings, your ability to set guys up against a dude that has condor arms. And you'll watch Wilson, and maybe some of this is overlaps to the next-gen stats. Maybe the defense, maybe Ohio State's playing man. But they will often motion Wilson before the snap. He's not lining up on the line of scrimmage like George Pickens with Patrick Surtain or Ahmad, Sauce Gardner on him playing man coverage. It's the college level. He's often being motioned, or he's off the ball, or he's in a bunch, so can you do those things at this level? Absolutely. And this coordinator does it better than the last coordinator. So he can play right away, but I think he's going to struggle when big badass corners put their hands on him at the line of scrimmage, but they will do their best not to put him there. I mean, George is going to be your on the ball X, Wilson's going to be a Z or a slot or, with a lot of motion. And again, Arthur Smith uses a lot of motion. So it's a concern, it's something he needs to get better at. And you also mentioned here, Ben, that could that improve throughout the year? Of course, it's going to improve this week. It's going to improve. What do you think they're working on as we speak on the South Side? Let's work on all these things. So yeah, it'll improve. And by all accounts, he's a very hard worker. He's small, but he's not weak. And I think that's important. Something to, announce here is, by all accounts, he is an extremely hard worker. He's not going to just go through the motions and be like, I can win on, my gifts, because he can't. And very, very few can at the NFL level at any position. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be one of the developments. Let's watch him in the preseason. If I was put the Steelers in the preseason, I would try not to scheme him up. I would try to get Pickens out of the game early. All right, Wilson, you're going to be the number one. Go do something you feel uncomfortable with. That's a Tomlinism all day long. Line up on the line of scrimmage and beat their second round picks corner who's out there, and see how it goes. And then when you get to week one, you don't ask them to do it as much, but you at least have some feel if he's improved or can get better at it. Tony Seal Nation, after looking at our schedule this year, do you feel the NFL has it out for the Steelers? I get that, and I've seen a lot of people bring that up. No. I think the Steelers, from a schedule perspective, have a couple things consistently working against them. Number one, they're in the hardest division you've basically ever seen. So 6 of those games are going to be very difficult. And the Ravens, Bengals, and Browns are in the same boat. They're also a massive draw for TV channels. You know, they are a national brand. So when they play on Monday night or Christmas or, you know, have a short week, oh, well, tough being the Steelers. You guys make us a lot of money. Maybe we're going to put you in uncomfortable situations more so than most teams, perhaps. I think that's fair. Dallas deals with that. I mean, Green Bay deals with that. The Cardinals don't. Jacksonville doesn't. You know, that you're going to be in that situation. And rarely or never do they get a last place schedule. So those 2 games that are variables don't work in their favor, where this year they work in the Bengals' favor, where the Bengals get, I think the Steelers get the Jets, the Bengals get the Patriots, just from where they played this year. And the Jets have Aaron Rodgers now. So tough being you. I will tell you that the commissioner of the league is very close and very appreciative of the Rooney family, and may or may not have gotten to that position without their help. I mean, he is basically elected by the owners, and his relationship with the Steelers has very much benefited him. And that's not to say he does them favors. I don't think he does, but I don't think he has it out for the team. You know, we went, I've heard people, a lot of people have tweeted me that the NFL's doing this just so Tomlin doesn't have a winning record. They want to knock the Steelers down and finally get them, you know, to top 5 draft pick, and they're sick of them being in the hunt all the time. I don't think that's it. I really don't. Last thing I got for you today, and we may have to run back the mailbag tomorrow or later in the week, but Tommy Nelson asked me, any idea when and who they will announce as Bill Hillgrove's replacement for the game broadcasts? I have not brought this up, but Billy is amazing. He is a true Steelers legend. I worked for the Pitt Panthers football team many moons ago. I mean, to put it in perspective, it was Antonio Bryant's last season at Pitt and both of Larry's years. So a long time ago, Larry's had a great NFL career come and go in that time. And Billy would travel with us, and I wasn't super close with him, but it was very cool to be around him on the road and all that. And since then, I've gotten to know Billy as well through our Steeler ties. An amazing human being, an amazing ambassador for the team, an amazing voice for the team. And trust me, no one consults me of who or when his replacement will be announced. But if it is who I suspect it will be and who I hope it will be, I couldn't give a better endorsement for that person. And the day that it comes out, if that's in fact the right guy, I will sing the praises and say this is who I thought it was. So I think you're in good hands. I don't know it for a fact. Again, no one asked my opinion on this. And even if someone told me, like, I think it's going to be this guy, I don't know. I mean, again, this has nothing to do with me or even me being my connections within the building. But if it's who I think it will be and who would be my vote, I think you guys will be very happy. I have not a clue of when that will be announced, though. All right, everyone. Thanks. I left some good questions on the table. We will maybe do those tomorrow. All right. Take care.